Hey, welcome to my channel guys. My name is Thomas Lee and this is my first video for 2020. As you may already know, if you've seen any of my old videos, I only do a lot of videos on cars, and today won't be any different. I'll be working on my 2012 Honda Civic EXL. I'll be installing a Shortram intake and I'll take you guys along the way with it. I'll also do a step-by-step on how to install it. I'll do a sound test before and after, inside and outside. And just a disclaimer before we move on, I am not a professional mechanic. I do this on the side as a hobby, so please use this as a guide, not as a true mechanic guide. So just letting you guys know, but hopefully these will help some of you guys out and maybe inspire you to work on your car on the weekend, just on stuff on the side. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Alright, I guess some of you guys are wondering what kind of intake I'm using today. If you can't already tell by the title, I'm actually using HPS. I found this brand on Amazon and this whole kit cost me around $41. I actually went back to check to see if the price changed because I bought this a while back. It actually has an updated version of this intake costing over $200. When I looked at the pictures, I couldn't tell the difference. It came with the same piping, same everything. The only difference I can see is maybe a different filter, but I don't think that justifies that price hike. So getting this at $41, it's a steal. So we're gonna go ahead and look at the box. Here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and open the box for you and go through some of the items that are inside. I already opened the box ahead of time, so we're just gonna go ahead, open this up and go through some of the items. First thing I see here is a K&N filter. That's a really good sign. Sometimes they use off-brand filter that you don't really trust, but K&N is a well-respected company, so I'm really happy to see that they're using a K&N filter for this intake kit. Really good on them. Kudos. Next thing I see in here is the intake pipe itself, also branded HPS. Let me go ahead and zoom in for their, if we can just focus. There we go. So they have their brand on there, and the welding on this looks pretty dang good. I'm not a welder, but from what I can tell, this is pretty dang good quality. So the next item on the list is this bag of coupler, clamps, and breathing tube. I also see an instruction manual inside. The tube looks like it's made of high quality. It's very thick, has reinforced fiber. Looks like everything is in here. I hope everything's in here. Well, I'll have to open the bag up later and take a look through it to make sure. Last thing is this license plate cover. It's nice of HPS to include just a goodie in here for you. Other than that, there's nothing else in the box. I'm going ahead and put everything back in and get started with the installation. I'll see you guys in a bit. So the first thing you want to do is disconnect the negative terminal on your battery. Afterwards, we're going to go ahead and remove the air box. The air box is held in place by two bolts located here at the bottom, and also one more on the side right there. And on top of the air box is your map sensor. It's located right there and it's held on by a plastic tab in the corner. If you can see, let me zoom in real quick. You see that green clip? It's held on right there. After you remove that clip, you can unclip the map sensor as well. Also, we want to loosen up this C-clamp over here. This way it will give us a bit of leeway to remove the air box entirely. Also, you want to go ahead and remove this inlet as well. This sucks cold air from the bottom upward. We're not going to be using that. Alright, the next thing we want to do is remove this breather hose that's connected to this intake hose that's connected to the valve cover. So how we're going to do that is just pinch these clamps right here, and that will loosen it up. The same will go for this clamp right here. Also, we want to go ahead and push this rubber hose aside and away from the intake hose. That will give us room to work with once we get that out of the way. We also want to go ahead and loosen that clamp right here. So there's another C clamp in there. We want to go ahead and loosen that way we can pull this out. Alright, as you guys can see, we have removed everything from the engine bay, the air box, and also the intake hose. So everything has been removed and placed over there on the ground. So what do we have here is our tray of equipment that we'll be installing. This includes the metal intake bracket, also the rubber coupler, and also the air straightener, and also these clamps. Inside the box we'll be installing our pipe as well, so we're gonna get started right now. Alright, so we're gonna use this double-sided bolt right here with a rubber grommet around it. This will be placed inside or at the bottom of the bracket. The rubber will help prevent vibration between the intake and the cart. So we want to go ahead and screw it down here. Usually you want to do it by hand. These things go in pretty easily. So screw it in, screw it in, screw it in, screw it in. Alright, until you can hand tighten it. There we go. Next you want to get your bracket. So this is the bracket. The orientation is this way. So you want to have it, the bendy part facing upwards, and then the bottom part down there. So it's going to be just like that. Next you want to go ahead and get a nut, and again hand tighten it. So here we go. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand, but I'm gonna try. Alright, here we go. There we go. Adjust that just a little bit. Alright, again, you just want to hand tighten. You don't want to over tighten everything, because you need to make adjustment later on. Alright, so I just want to get the pipe out real quick and show you where the screw goes. You see this hole? It will be lined up right in that area right here. So that will go right there, and your intake pipe will go there. So what you want to do is take a bolt that's provided to you in the kit. There we go. So that bolt will go underneath, pointing outward like that, and that will screw into this little section of the pipe. Alright, so earlier I forgot to remove the breather hose located here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it now. So the next thing we want to do is install our rubber coupler located here. You want to make sure the smaller diameter is facing the inside and the outer larger diameter is facing the outside. We're going to go ahead and put a clamp on make sure it fits. The smaller one, 7567, goes on the inside, and obviously the other clamp, the bigger one, goes on the outside, just like that. So now we want to go ahead and just pre-tighten our clamp just a little bit. Make sure that it's not too loose, but also not too tight, just enough to get over the opening there. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it now. All right, I think we're just about there. All right, I'm gonna give this a try, see if it fits. You see, you can still move it just a little bit. Alrighty, let's give this a try. Looks pretty snug. Actually, it might be too tight. Let me see. Yeah, it might be a little bit too tight. I'm gonna loosen it up just a little bit. I think this is good. Make sure that all of the sides go in evenly. You're just gonna have to finesse it just a little bit, but it is pretty tough rubber, so don't be afraid just giving it a little bit of elbow grease to get it in there. Alright, lined up your clamp. There we go. Alright, so the next step is pretty straightforward. We're going to take this clamp, which is the bigger of the two, and put it over the rubber fitting there, or the rubber coupler, just like this. Alright, time to take out our intake piping, as you can see here. Before we go ahead and insert it in, we're going to have to install the map sensor. Alright, hold on, let me zoom out real quick. There we go. So the map sensor is located in this area right here. It goes right into that slot and is held on by 2 bolts that's provided. So on our old airbox, you can see the map sensor is located at the very top in this general area here. So when removing the map sensor, just remember, be very careful. You want to take those 2 screws out, and then when you got those screwed out, you just want to gently wiggle it out. You don't want to force it out and then accidentally drop it, because the sensor is very sensitive and you don't want anything happen to it. Alright, so let's get started here. Alright, so like I mentioned earlier, we'll want to gently remove the sensor, not to be too forceful. Next, we want to make sure that the sensor is placed in the correct orientation. You want the connection to be facing the bottom, not the top. So you want it in this orientation. It also helps to see that that little slot is facing the same way as your air filter. So what happens is, when the air gets sucked in, it will pass that opening, and then that's how it gets read by the sensor. So next, we want to use the provided bolt and tighten that in. So these are the small bolts that's what's provided with the kit. I usually want to do it by hand first, and then with an Allen wrench, you want to go ahead and hand tighten the bolts in. Alright, so now we're going to use this mounting bolt to mount our intake pipe onto the bracket. So the bolt goes into that hole right there. Alright, so before we go ahead and do that, we're gonna slide this end of the pipe into the rubber coupler, like so. We want to wiggle it in. Alright, so we don't want to tighten anything down at the moment. We just kind of let it loose that way so we can make adjustments as needed. Now we're going to install the breather tube from the valve cover to the pipe. Alright, so that was done with me. The breather tube is obviously a little too long. We're going to have to cut it later. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and put the tube back in and try to get it lined up with the bracket. Alright, now that it's lined up, we want to go ahead and put in the mounting bolt that was provided for us. Just gonna feel my way in here and tighten it by hand. Alright, so we're gonna need to take about that much off. Alright, gonna make sure the bolt is a little bit tighter. Also, might as well plug in the map sensor while I'm at it. Alright, next thing is this air straightener, or the MAF sleeve, that's what they called it. It's supposed to go into this end, but it looks like it might be a little too big. I reached out to HPS about this issue and this was their reply. Thank you for the fast response, Kenny. Really appreciate that. Alright, so when I was looking through everything, I realized I forgot to install these washers for the mounting bolts. So when you guys are doing this, be careful. Make sure not to forget your washer. They go in that area. I'm going to go ahead and get these installed before I tighten everything down. Alright, so now I'm going to use the scissor here to cut the breather hose to length. Looks about right here. These are really nice scissors, so they should cut through this hose with no problem. Alright, so now you want to go ahead and connect your negative terminal back on your battery.
Alright guys, and that is it. There wasn't much to it, pretty straightforward, a couple bolts here and there, a little modifying on our end. You know, stuff don't always come in the way you hope it to. I mean, the way you hope that it would. So overall, for the price that I paid for this intake and the ease of how everything fit, there was just one minor thing about the air breather tube or the air straightener. It didn't quite fit. Like I said earlier, I'm gonna go ahead and contact the manufacturer, see if I can get them to resend me something that will fit. But overall, the price was good. I feel like there's a tiny improvement in terms of sound, and hopefully I get like better fuel economy maybe. So one last look at it, and then I'm gonna say bye to you guys. All right, peace.